Hello and welcome to a new tutorial video for Sonic Sorcery, where we create magic with sound. I'm Stefan Key, your Sonic Sorcerer, and in this video I want to have a look at a very important topic, especially for dance music, or music that is created with the intention to make people dance, and that is groove. So I'm in this project right now that I'm working on for my new album. It's a track that I've created with my organic shamanic house template. And let's have a listen first to this loop here. So it's pretty nice. I like all the elements, and I really like all, the percussions and how it's all like talking to each other and working. I like the vibe. That's all good. But I notice it's kind of slow. Even I'm at 117 BPM, like it kind of feels a little, I don't know, too dragged out, or yeah, it's lacking groove a little bit. And there's one really cool feature in Ableton that's kind of hidden that we can apply to create more groove. And to show you that, I'm going to hone in a little bit more on just the drums, like the kick, the bass, and the percussion. So I'm soloing all those channels. And now let's have a listen to that in solo. It becomes even more obvious what I mean. Right? It's kind of nice, but the problem is that all the elements, the decay times, they are so long, so it's kind of really hard to distinguish the sounds in and of themselves. And what we can do is we can shorten the transients, or more precisely the decay time, to create something more groovy. And if that sounds abstract to you, let's give you an example. So let's start maybe, with this shaker loop. I'll bring in the kick. So if I double click on this loop here, you see there's different warp algorithms. I'm already in beats mode, of course, because that's the one for percussion loops and beats in general, because it's kind of emphasizing the transients. But you see what happens if I'm changing this transient behavior here into focusing on one direction only, right? And now here you see 100, but I can shorten this value and listen to the shaker, what happens. Right? You hear how it gets shortened, and all of a sudden that's already a lot more groovy, because there's more space. Like we don't, you hear how much space this takes up? So we're cleaning it up in a way, making it tighter, because what happens is that all those transients, or like the decay time, is shortened, like I can really drastically do it like this. Like even that is kind of groovy. So as compared to, full on. So that's really cool. So that is a feature that you can use, shorten the time, but it doesn't stop here. So if you go here in this drop down menu, you can even like sync it to the rhythm. So let's say we can have 16th notes. And then here you don't hear it, so obviously, because it's kind of a 16th rhythm anyway, but maybe let's put it to 8th notes. And maybe let's try another one here, the 32nd note. You hear now it gets this little roll. So that's another way to change it. For now, let's leave the transient here and have it like really short, like, I don't know, 30, 27, something like that. And let's keep looking at the other ones. So this one here as well. So we change this to beats. We change this to the transient mode. And now let's shorten this. Right, so now it's completely short. And let's solo this. See, like, this is how it is. Very long decay times, like it's nice, it's organic, but it's taking up a lot of space in the mix. And this is cluttery and this is dragging things out and taking away from the groove. But if I shorten it, here like that, it's a lot more groovy, it's a lot tighter. And here I can also show you the other version, like this 16th. You see, like it creates a very unique rhythm. Let's try the 8th note. You know, and you can even play, you can have different versions. You can have one version of the clip in 8th note, and then later in your arrangement, when it gets a bit more dynamic, you can have this version and maybe open up a little bit the decay time, you know, and have those variations. So you can create a duplicate and then just change those transient features. So that's a very cool, very powerful tool. And you can also do it for the bass line, you know, like if we listen to the bass as well, the bass and the kick, right? The bass is pretty full. So it's kind of boomy. So we can shorten it a little bit. You know, the groove is still there. But all of a sudden we have a lot more space, and now bringing in the percussions again. So there's these guys, they also of course need to be shortened. You hear like the difference, like how much more groovy that is, and let's go in here as well. Yeah, they were also taking up a lot of space in the mix. Everything tighter, everything more groovy. Right? So now, if I bring in the rest again, right, all of a sudden it's a lot more groovy because it's tighter and we can distinguish the sounds more, and they are not taking all up the same space. And there's a certain punch to it in a way that is, yeah, it's just more accented with the shortness, because then you can hear everything more distinctively, which is great, and it doesn't stop here. So, oh, what's with the maracas? They were muted. Let's see how they sound. Yeah, that's a good example to show you also the other modes here. Right? How cool is that? Like, this is like a nice scatter effect. A lot more groovy than this on its own might be nice, but with all the other elements it's way too much. So if I go down now, shorten it, super cool. Right? A lot more groovy. And there's even more to the groove. So let's solo this one. And you see here, there's this groove section. And right now, there's no groove applied, right? But if I click here on this recycle button here, then you see the browser opens and then the groove pool opens up. And what a groove is basically capturing what a drummer would do, like the humanness of something, or a certain feel, a certain swing, a certain way of accenting notes. And those are basically MIDI values. So it's a value of velocity and the position of the note. And now you can, you know, see, like, let's take this two-step shuffle, and here you can hear how it sounds, right? And let's apply this. So now we have in our groove pool here this groove, right? So let's have a listen how that sounds. And this is now just applied, you know, to the tribal maracas. So you hear how how this is now changing as compared to, right? This was it before. And now it's like this 2-step shuffled. But it's already 16 still, right? So it's kind of working really well. Let's see what happens. We can now play with this decay time a little bit, but I like it really tight. Let's bring in the kick to have some reference. And now we can even shorten the kick a little bit, you know, like, let's see. That's fine, because we shorten everything, then we can also shorten the kick a little bit. Nice. Right, and so here you can choose the groove. And you can have the same groove for each percussion clip if you like, or you can have a different one. And then, so here is selected, right? If I go back to none, it's gone. Let's try another one. Let's try this big baboon accent here. So let's see how that sounds. Oh wow, that's also really interesting with those breaks in between. Also nice. Right, so you can choose which one you prefer, and you see here in the groove pool they are all showing up. And the cool thing is you can then change the settings, so you can see how velocity sensitive it is, right? So you can have it like react full to the velocity, which means that the velocity is preserved, or you can like make it a little softer, like meaning the way the velocity was when the groove was recorded, right? Because this is kind of like a groove that has been extracted out of a performance or like out of a percussion loop or a groove, because you can also extract the groove. That's another thing. So let me show you how I can extract the groove. I can go here and then I can right click, right? So I'm now in this tribal frequency and I can extract the groove. So now it's extracting the groove. So it's like analyzing, you know, the patterns, the velocity and all that stuff. And then I have this groove available and I can apply it for other loops. Right, so this is how you get groove pools. See, now we have this one as well in here. And so let's listen to this one in solo. And let's apply maybe this one. And let's go back here because it becomes more obvious. So here we have the big win accent now, right? Let's go back to the 2-step shuffle. And look what happens, like with the velocity, if I go down, you can have negative velocity, obviously, then it gets like really quiet. If you go 0, the velocity is steady, right? So there's no variation. And then you can dial in how much velocity effect you want to have. So now the velocity of this clip is 50% affected by the velocity of this groove. I go 100%, you know, now you have really like this super shuffle, because now the velocity is like really affected, and velocity meaning like the expressiveness of the notes or the loudness. And so you can play with that, right? If you want to maintain your own velocity, you set it to a value around here. But if you really wanted the original groove velocity, like really strong, for now I think I dial it back a little bit, somewhat around 60. And then what's always really cool is a little bit of random. So this is just applying a randomness to all of it, right? And then here you see you have a global amount, and this says how much of all the applied grooves will affect the whole project, right? So you can have like different grooves everywhere. And then you can say, but you want to maintain the original feel a little bit of it. So you set it to, I don't know, like 75 or something. So it's all like slightly groovy, but not 100%, right? So this is the global amount. So, and you can even increase it, make everything super swingy and shuffly if you want, right? And this is affecting the whole project and all grooves all together on all clips and how they react to each other. So, yeah. If you want to set it to 100, then everything will be working as intended. If you dial it back a little bit, you maintain a little bit of the original feel. Maybe you want to blend. And yeah, the randomness is really nice. So I suggest to have like values between like, I don't know, 0 to 15% or something. You don't want to go too crazy on it because then it gets kind of irritating. So let's see if we can apply a groove to the bass line as well. One of the ones we already have. Let's try this one. Right? Now you can create a new bass line. It's also nice. I like it. It's a bit more gentle, a bit more subtle, but it's cool. Right, and now we need to apply some groove here as well. Let's try this one. And let's put in some random also. Oh, and I didn't talk about the quantize feature. So this is like the percentage of how much it wants to be quantized to the grid, right? If I go 100%, then it's just super quantized and kind of losing its groove a little bit. But if you feel like, oh my God, it's a little too loose, then you can quantize it a little bit, right? So again, you have a lot of options to change the feel of the groove. So it's a really powerful feature, and especially if you're working with other people's loops and you want to create them, make them more your own, or you feel, you know, you're working with my organic shamanic house organic shamanic house template, and you feel like you want to add more groove to it, then that's the way to go. And you can even, you know, try that everywhere. You could try it on melodies. Right, then you have this nice kind of gated effect. So I really invite you, oh, how nice is that? You know, to play around with that. Right now even there's more groove because there's more space. Yeah, so that's it for this video, and I hope you got some inspiration on how to make loops more customizable and your own and more groovy, and really play around with the groove pool, the groove functions enabled, and there's tons of them, right? And yeah, they bring really like live and organic and human feel to it. And yeah, by shortening the decay time and the transients, you can make your beats a lot more groovy and punchy. And yeah, I think it's great, especially if you work a lot with organic stuff, like the templates that I'm doing, they're all like super organic. And with this, you get some tightness back into it. So yeah, that's a great feature. Hope you enjoyed this, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.